Welcome friends. Tragedy give us pleasure. Why? This is a very good question in the history of English literature. Tragedy naturally deals with pain and sufferings. It ends in ruin. That means tragedy ends with ruin and destruction and the dies of the central character, protagonist. It produces aesthetic pleasure in the audience's mind. We find aesthetic pleasure in our mind whenever we see all the tragedy, either in the movies or in the drama or in the plays. It is more appealing than comedy. Comedy rose laughter and fun, but tragedy hits our mind, hits our sympathy, and it drops our tears. We weep, we cry, we feel sympathy for the character. On the character, we associate ourselves with the character. It attracts larger and attracts our mind than that of the comedy. Our mind finds where pleasure in terms of tragedy in the sight of other sufferings. We associate our sufferings with the character. Shelley beautifully termed it as, our sweetest songs are those that tell of the saddest thoughts. The pleasure that resides in pain is the pleasure of the pleasure. That means we feel pleasure when we find pain in other characters. That pain grows in our mind, pleasure. Their pain, that means our pleasure. We go to see the theater, to see the movies. We spend money just to cry so that our tears fill with waters. The hero or the protagonist of the tragedy struggles against the destiny, against the fate, but dies in the end. That is in their destiny. Aesthetic pleasure the tragedy produces. We find aesthetic pleasure in our mind whenever we see the tragedy. Tragedy turns our feelings into tears and it gives us aesthetic pleasure. Sorrow has the effect of purifying our soul. That means our soul purifies whenever we feel sorrow on others. Great tragedy doesn't end with a note of frustration or futility. Tears are countered into beautiful fears by the art of the dramatist. Tragedy chastens and purify our souls. So, all these reasons are responsible, and we say tragedy gives us pleasure than that of the comedy. Whenever we go to see or to hear the story, The Riders to the Sea, Moria, the protagonist, feels much pain, much sufferings, and her daughters and sons suffers a lot. And Moria's character of Moria is a fate. Her destiny ends with too much suffering. So you can say tragedy gives us pleasure than that of comedy. The pain and sufferings of those characters feel in our mind. We associate with our feelings, with that of the characters. Please comment, share, and subscribe this channel and press the bell icon for all the incoming videos. Thank you.